Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie, and if you're an oldie but a goodie, welcome back to my channel. So today is a video that I'm super excited for, and I want to talk about finances. I am a single mom, and especially a young single mom, and I have to juggle everything on my own, and I have dreams and I have missions, I have goals. So in order to achieve the goals that I have, I need a good financial plan. So it took me a couple of years to actually figure out a plan that is perfect for me and my circumstances. So I want to let you know what that plan is. And my plan has 7 steps, so I'm going to explain it step by step, and I'm going to talk a little bit about every single step so that you know what I mean. So the first thing I want to say, a little disclaimer before I start this video, is that I know not everyone is in a position where they can save a lot of money. I know that, and trust me, I have been in this position. Whenever I had my daughter, I was still in school. I had literally nothing, and I remember a situation where I had to beg my parents that they would give me a little bit of money to buy clothes, because at the time I was not able to work because I was constantly with my daughter. Whenever she was 2 years old or 3 years old, I was able to get a job on the side because I didn't have daycare, I didn't have nothing. So I was basically just juggling it all. And I know that times like these are very realistic, and that I'm also 32 years old at this point. And I went through a lot to get into the position that I am right now. And yes, there's a lot of air and a lot of space to get to a better financial situation, but that's why I'm working on my financial plan. And I would always stick to this plan no matter how much money I will make in the future. It's just good to be able to understand how money works and how insanely important it is to manage your money. It's good whether you don't have a lot of money, and it's good if you have a lot of money. It doesn't really matter. It's just very important to understand money and to understand how you actually handle it. So that's why it's very important to have like a kind of like a guideline that you can stick to, that you know you can rely on yourself. And sometimes it's not possible to save money, I know that, but it all comes down to how you handle it. And yes, we all have goals, so I hope that it will be easier for you in the future if you were actually struggling with money right now, because I know how it is. Yeah, I just want to give you tips and tricks. And also yeah, I got a lot of wisdom and like a lot of knowledge through researching financial topics. So that's why it took me so long to find out the perfect financial plan for me that has worked for a lot of years. And I want to present that to you because that's what I stick to, and that's why I am able to do the things that I'm able to do every single day. The way we can live, the way we live. And it all comes down to my financial plan. So as I said, I have 7 steps. So we should start with step number 1. I wrote it all down, by the way. That's why I'm looking on this paper, because we can then be sure that I did not forget anything. So the step number 1 is monitor your expenses. That is very crucial, and that is very important. Honestly, at this point, it's kind of like the most important step, and let me tell you why. It is very important to know what you actually have to spend. So for you to know, okay, those are expenses that I have, so I need to make sure that I can actually pay them, and everything else is something different that we will look at after. But it's very important that you know what you actually have to spend every single month, every single year, every 3 weeks, or every 3 months, whatever. So I split this monitor your expenses step into 3 categories. So the first one is set expenses. Set expenses would be things like rent, water bill, electricity bill. Those are kind of fluctual, but still they're set expenses. You can just monitor how much you spend in December versus how much you spend in November, but those are set expenses, and you should always write that down so you know kind of what you're spending. But yeah, set expenses that are like set are basically rent. It most likely stays the same. It might get an increase, but not too much. So those things, or insurance, or internet, what else do we have? Subscriptions, those are set expenses. That's what actually leaves your bank account every single month, and that is a for sure payment. Monitor those, and my tip is to go for an entire year, because some payments For example, car insurance, my car insurance and my several different insurances I pay yearly, so once a year, and then some I pay every month, and then some subscription whatever I pay every 3 months or something like that. But you like look at the entire year so you know what you spent in an entire year, because sometimes like January for me is very expensive because there's a lot of insurance money that goes or leaves my account, and I have to have that back in my savings account. Then the second step would be see what you spend on groceries or just all the bare necessities like toilet paper, simple things like that, laundry detergent, stuff like that, okay? Those things count into groceries, okay? Or like shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush, toothpaste, stuff like that. See what you spent a month, and then look over the entire year, because sometimes it might be a little more, sometimes it might be a little less, but like kind of try to figure out what kind of number or what kind of sum you do pay for that every month. And that comes down to then later on setting a budget. So that's why it's so important. So you know what's realistic, a realistic budget in your case, because you might have one child, you might have multiple children, so then you need definitely to spend more money on that. And the third one is, what do you spend on everything else? Okay, let's say you have expenses like going to the zoo or going on vacation, going shopping, you know, those are kind of like expenses that are considered luxury. So you actually have to monitor that as well. Maybe some months are very like more expensive. For me, December is always very expensive because I get a lot of like tickets for shows and you know, Christmas presents and stuff like that. So for me, December is very expensive. So I try to monitor that and know that I am very much prepared for all the money I need in those months. So the second step overall is monitor your income sources. That is so important because yes, you might know what you're spending, but you need to know what you're getting in, okay? So that you know, okay, well, I can afford that, I cannot afford it, or maybe I need a pay rise, maybe you need a second job, or whatever it is, or maybe you were part-time, now you have to go full-time, or you are full-time and now you have all this money that you don't actually need and you want to work less. Now you know it's possible, whatever, okay? That all comes down to comparing what you spent and what you're making. So monitor your income sources. For some it's 1 or 2 or 3. It's very individual. So yeah, track your sources of income and how much it is. Every single month, maybe you get paid for, I don't know, making content on YouTube, TikTok, or whatever. So that's something that is kind of hard to track because it's a different sum every month. But that way, it's also easy for you to set goals. But yeah, monitor your income sources would be the number 2. The number 3 is cancel not needed subscription and then budget. Okay, the not needed subscription, I know that there is some apps that do that for you, or some services that do that for you. I personally am a friend of like looking at all of my bank records and look at my Apple Pay account, my Apple Wallet, or look at my PayPal, whatever I pay those subscriptions with, and then see what I need and what I don't need. And then you, after that, set up a realistic budget for everything, okay? Now you know what you are spending on literally everything, okay? You have your set expenses on everything that is, you know, rent, whatever, also credit and stuff like that. You know what you spend on groceries and stuff like that, and you know what you spend on luxury items. You also know what your income is, so now you know what you have and what you need, and now you can set a budget. I personally set budgets for a week and not a month. For me, it's easier because even if you spend less a week, then if you monitor that, you have more in the next week. But that doesn't automatically mean that you spend it then because you have more. No, but that's definitely what you need. Like, you need a budget so you have some kind of guideline that you can work with, okay? So ever since you know what you actually have to spend, make sure that your budget is in that kind of region, and you don't need everything, okay? You don't need like 5 packs of different chocolates. You could also go with 1 or 2, okay? So try to cut down on that because we come to a later, much more important step while we actually budget. So that was the 3rd step. The 4th one is set up a savings account. First of all, before I say that, make an automatic payment. Because I don't know how it is in other countries, but where I live in Germany, I can just set up an automatic withdrawal to another account from my main bank account. So it just goes automatically. And I set that for the beginning of the month when all the money is on. So if you want to save, definitely take it from the beginning of the month. And also make sure that it's affordable, okay, that you can actually do that. You have to make sure that you still have enough money in order to pay for groceries, your set expenses, and the things you really think is important for you, like some luxury, like going to the movie theater or whatever. But after that, after all the calculations, whatever you think would be left over a month, make sure that that leaves your bank account at the beginning of the month, most likely the first day of the month. And then we come to something that is kind of within this step. Try to save up to $3,000 or euros, or just, you know, in that kind of category. I don't know with a different currencies, but euro and dollars is kind of similar, but go around that sum because in the video that Christina Villegas she said she also got it from someone that talked about financial stuff a lot, or talks about financial stuff a lot. She said try to save up 1,000. Yes, 1,000 is great, but for me as a single mom, actually I've experienced so many things actually that were so expensive, like my washer broke and my car broke down, and that only was around 2,000. It's always good to have a little more than 1,000 because if shit gets real, you want to be able to pay for that, okay? So this savings account is for like your emergency budget, okay? So whenever you have something that breaks or you need to get it fixed or whatever comes in, you at least have 3,000 in that account just in case. So the second savings account, and I recommend a second savings account, and let me tell you why. In case you lose your job or shit gets real, you want to be able to survive on that money for at least 4 months, because maybe sometimes it takes a little longer to get a new job, because I have been unemployed in the past and it was not that easy to get a new job. I'm not saying that it's, you know, impossible, whatever, and I applied to a lot of jobs, but it took some time. So I was lucky that I saved enough money, and was lucky that my old job actually gave me some money before they fired me, so that was also like, I was really lucky with that. But yeah, that basically saved me in that time. So make sure you have at least 4 months so that you are okay in the time that you find a new job or a new occupation where you're trying to build up a business and whatever. Make sure you have at least 4 months of spending, and with that it comes down to you already monitored your expenses, okay, in every single category and your subscriptions. So write that down and then monitor what you have to spend or what you want to spend a month, okay, when it comes to budget and everything, what you need a month, and then try to save that at least 4 months, okay? Try to put money on those accounts. And maybe it takes you a little longer, and maybe you can only make or put like 50 bucks on that account a month or whatever. It's fine, as long as you stay dedicated and put money on the side. Step number 5 would be monitor your debt. Okay, first of all, I mean debt like you have a credit because you bought furniture, or you have a car bill, or you had a surgery, or you bought yourself like a new iPhone, or whatever it is, okay? Things like that. Things that you have, like you owe money for, that are not directly assets, okay? What I mean by that, I do not mean like investing money in real estate or whatever. So where you live, like let's say you bought the apartment, the mortgage or whatever, the mortgage payments or stuff like that, that's not on that list. That's something different because it's an asset, okay? You can write that off. That's different, okay? Those are actually, so that's the difference between bad debt and good debt. What I mean by that is bad debt is like, you cannot write it off. It doesn't really get you anything, okay? That's just hindering you to invest in bigger things. Because if you still owe the bank $50,000 for a new car that just loses value, you're less likely able to get a credit for new real estate versus if you have paid all of that bad debt off and you just have good debt, which is like an apartment complex or whatever it is. Then that's different. You can write that off and you get money back, because let's say you bought an apartment and you rent it out to someone, that person pays off that debt and you can still write it off. So that's good debt. But the bad debt, we don't want the bad debt, okay? So the number one tip I would say is go and list it, like write it all down and go from the lowest at the top, then down to the highest debt at the bottom. And then you want to pay off the lowest debt first. Try to pay that off as soon as possible. And let me tell you why. Okay, let's say your credit card payment is 200 and you're in debt of 200. Put that at top because 200 is less than a payment for an iPhone. An iPhone is like, I don't know, let's say 2,000, okay? That comes next. And then you have, okay, those are like really unrealistic, whatever. Anyways, it's like really high sums. It doesn't have to be that. And then third, you bought yourself like a new couch, okay? And that couch was 5,000. Put that below the 2,000 iPhone. And then you have a new car, or you bought a new car, it's 50,000. Put that at the bottom. But you want to start with the lowest. Try to pay off your 200 credit card debt as soon as possible. And if that's gone, then go on to the next. That doesn't mean that you don't pay off everything below also, but go with the lowest rate, okay? Try to pay off the lowest debt first, because if that's gone, that's gone. Then you only have 3 different ones left. You paid off the second, the iPhone, okay, awesome. Now you have 2 left, okay? And go like that from the lowest to the highest, and then try to pay it off as soon as you can. Put that on priority, that to pay off from the lowest to the highest. And then step number 6 is set up financial goals, okay? We all have goals in life, okay? And we have to actually turn them from a dream to a goal, because then we have kind of like a roadmap, and that's so important. So maybe your goal is to buy a house or buy an apartment or buy like some kind of real estate property that you can rent out, whatever it is, okay? So set financial goals and then set a certain amount of money that you need in order to make that happen. I went to my bank twice. It was for free. They told me what I need in order to get this and that and yada, yada, yada. They told me what I need, and they told me what I need to do in order to do that. So if you are unsure, just schedule an appointment with your bank. It doesn't cost you money. It just gives you wisdom, and then put that down so you can set up a new savings account, or you go with one of those 2 that you already set up, and save the money that you need to buy an apartment, buy a house, or whatever it is. And then research investing methods. Maybe, I mean, not everyone wants to invest, okay? But you could go small, because you don't want your money to lose value if you saved it up. You could go with like little stocks, you could go with real estate, you could go with a lot of things. Maybe you want to set up a business and then you need money for the business, whatever it is, write it down, and you need some kind of money for that. Put it down and calculate it. If you don't know how much, how it's possible, whatever. Schedule an appointment with your bank. I can only recommend. It gave me a lot of wisdom in the past. And what also would include, you know, the financial goals. Try to be smart about it, okay? Read a lot about financial things, like how to write things off, what is good debt, how it's actually good to buy properties, because, you know, the less taxes you have to pay, the more money you have to invest it in further projects. So, for example, you buy a property, and then you get money for that, and then buy another property. The second you have more debt, good debt, you pay less taxes, so you can minimize the amount of taxes you spend. So just whatever is your plan, go research it. There's all the sources online. You don't have to pay for that. Just look up into it, and if you are unsure, you could still set up or like schedule an appointment with your accountant, or look for an accountant, whoever does not have one. That might be around $200, $300, $400 an hour. So definitely research before you go in there, have your questions written down and everything so you are on the safe side. And then number 7, my step number 7, this is very weird, but I like it because it has many benefits. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. But the number 7, or step number 7, is get rid of old stuff and make money. So first of all, when you have clutter around, you are blocked. You are blocked, you're overwhelmed, like you cannot organize as well, you cannot clean as fast, you're just overwhelmed, okay? So it's a cleansing process that gives you clarity. So take everything that you don't need anymore, you don't want anymore, you don't use anymore, put it aside, collect it, and then go to like a flea market or insert it online on whatever platform. Get rid of it, because you get money for it, and the money you get for it up to a certain point would not get taxed. So that's like some extra money you could save up in your savings account. You don't need that stuff anyways. That's just kind of very low effort way to make money without having to like getting that money taxed. I do that a lot with old furniture, old clothes, everything I don't need anymore. I'll get rid of it. I'm happy because I don't have that much clutter anymore and I get money for it. I just put it in my savings account and we're good to go. And try not to wait too long because some things lose its value over time. So yeah, that's basically my steps, or my 7-step plan. I do love this plan because I researched so many ways on how to manage my money and everything. And that really helps me. And the savings account, for me personally, I would also recommend maybe setting up a third for like vacation or whatever. That also like is kind of like the luxury kind of thing that I talked about with the third category and expenses. But maybe you want to do something for fun. You could also set up a like savings account for that. That's up to you, okay? But the 2 main savings account I already mentioned in my video before. So definitely make sure that you save up enough money, because ultimately in the future you will thank yourself for not buying 5 packs of chocolate, just 2, and then you were able to save up even a little amount of money. It will just benefit you in the future. And if you are scared of your money losing value, definitely research ways on how to actually make your money not lose its value. There's many ways, as I said, and if you want me to, we can talk about that in the future, in a future video. I love talking about these things, but I feel like this financial plan is perfect for single moms, and especially if you're young, because when you're young, you most likely don't make as much money as you would do when you're older, just because of experiences and work and whatnot. So it just takes you time to get to where you actually want to be. So the earlier you save up money and you're still young and you're still able to hustle so bad, you can just create a life that you really want to live, okay? Where you have real estate and all that stuff that gives you that gives you money in return later on. So yeah, that's my very personal financial plan. I personally love it because it works for me. You could give me some feedback, maybe if I missed something in your case, or you wish something else to be added on there, or you like the plan and you try it. Let me know if you tried it and it works for you and how you did it. Let me know, because I just want to help you. I am here. I've been through so much and now I can give away my wisdom. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. See you in my next one. Bye.